Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Piper Academy. Welcome to the morning market report. It's such a pleasure to have you guys in here. And let me fix, of course, this chat and let's get started with you guys because you guys are the most important part of this show. And we got the number one log for crypto. What's up, bro? Welcome. How is it going, my friend? We also have JR. How's it going, brother? Welcome, welcome. We have Mike Palmer. What is up, brother? JB Hulk, what is up, bro? Welcome. Who else we got? We have Robert Mulligan. How is it going, brother? And Bitcoin Bunker. What's up, my friend? Welcome. All right, so I want to dedicate today a little bit more time to analysis, both on Bitcoin and a couple of altcoins. Let's see where we're standing, so on and so forth. But also, it's true that we are in a transition zone, right? Thus, the actual thumbnail. By the way, with the correct date, does the correct date thumbnail, will it dump? Because right now we're in a transition zone, and I would say, yeah, despite everybody, I mean, we've been touching on this on the Wyckoff, either a flat pass bearish continuation or a Wyckoff reversal. We'll take a look at how that is going and more, but let's get started with the news. Dusty Hunt, DJ Mike Only, what's up, bro? Welcome. Great to have you guys. Let's go to the news. All right, so we have it right here. Let's take a look at the liquidations, how everything is looking. So not that bad, I mean, in here, but let's take a look at here. 24-hour rec, 249 millions. That's not that bad so far. Single liquidation, it comes at, what is it, at $3 million. All right, I think yesterday was 50 something, right? So, well, all right, I will say that it's not going that bad. I mean, I see a lot of red here. Might be that Bitcoin is moving. But let's go and take a look at Bitcoin. And by the way, I don't even have my chart of Bitcoin brought up. Let me see if I can do it really quickly. And yeah, let's go. Let's get it. All right, so let's go to take a look at Bitcoin really quickly. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And oh, the actual thing is actually pushing upwards. All right, this actually kind of gets in place with what we are thinking. Nonetheless, let's also go all the way up in here, right, to where we do have our prediction chart or our ongoing chart. And let's take a look at what we were talking about here. Remember this? We were expecting too long in here, maybe going somewhere around here, and then maybe, in just maybe, having a continuation. We are hitting the bottom part of this trend line. If we are able to break back above, I would actually call for a Wyckoff reversal. All right, so we're moving way faster than the actual news. All right. And well, we have some greening here. We're pushing towards the upside in here. On our MVP oscillator, we already hit some accumulation zone. Perfect. And let's take a look at our MVP. Our linear regression oscillator, of course. And our linear regression oscillator, despite we are still bearish and pointing upwards, and this is all right, this is cool. Well, we're losing strength on what? On the bearishness. All right, so that's why it's good, because we are losing strength on the bearishness. All right, so the bearishness is also going up in here, so in transition or decreasing in transition to get on a bullish trend or a bullish scenario, while we're also losing that bearishness strength. This is something that I like to see in here. Remember, this is the same pattern in here. What happened right there? We rose, in this case, just a little bit, right? Same thing happening here. As this decreased and this increased, right, we can see that we pumped a little. So right now it's not that big of a deal. Let's just say how it is, right? Let's actually copy this same candle structure. All right, so somewhere from here to there, and I believe this is what we're seeing. All right, so far this is what we're seeing. This is not a minor stuff. All right, and well, not only is not a minor stuff, well, we also had a trend line in here, right, with an alert. And of course, we had that alert ringing yesterday night. at 9 p.m. All right. So far so good. I mean, sorry, today at 9 p.m. So far so good. We have the breakout. If we're able to consolidate above this other trend line, I think we're golden for what it comes next, which is a little bit more ranging and possibly the December pump. All right. So I still think that we might have a December pump. Let's take a look at that chart really quickly before we move out of here. All right. And this is it. So this is the huge range. And let's go to daily just so we have a better perspective in here. All right. Like this. On daily, we've been on this huge range, right? Early last month on November, we broke the range, all right? So we're losing the trend, but also we went to find some liquidity. We did not put a lower low, all right? That is important. So we did not put a lower low. We went for a regular or same area low, all right? And then we're kind of like making this little shoulder. This is the worrying part, all right? So breaking this bear flag kind of stuff, all right? But if we're able to break back inside of this up ranging zone, I believe that we have the chance to go and hit the 104 by December, or at least have one more. There is one more pump like this, or two more pumps before we go lower. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's take a look at what else we have in the charts. So liquidation heat map. Let's just refresh this really quickly so we have the latest data. And I bet you it's gonna be a little bit higher, and we might be getting closer to it. Yes, look at that. It is at 990K, 90K 700. So not bad. I mean, that will actually get in line with just getting right above inside this range. Important. We still need to look for that possible rejection. That's why we have an alert at 97K 197. All right. So still not out of the blue. If this is Chinese for you, if you don't know whether up or down, I think that we're going up, and then we need to wait for our oscillator to break back above. Talking about the daily. On the 4 hours, we need to close above the 91 300K. All right. Also break above our zero line and make a retest on that zero line, something like this. So we can count with the next high, and then we can look into the possible next low. All right. But still, at this point, we do need to wait for that rejection in here, or that approval back inside into the range. All right. Talking about ranges, that is the actual topic of today. We're going to be taking a look at that, especially when we get to the Wyckoff area. But let me also welcome you all. Thank you guys for coming here. We have all JR. What's up, brother? Oh, who else we got in here? We have the other gang. Welcome. Mikey Play, what is up, bro? Welcome. Great to have you guys. And let's take a look at what else we have on the heat map in here. So heat map, as we have seen, a little bit higher here. I would say that we can even count to go and hit the 93 for a better or for extended period. But so far, we're gonna stay to the 90 Arcade 800. Now, taking a look at what's going on with the longs and shorts, we can start seeing that we have a more grouped together zones, right? I mean, River being all the way up there. All right. So long entries on River are going nuts. Maybe we can take a look at River and look for a dump. All right. USTC, longs on USTC. That's an interesting one because that is a stable coin. We'll have to take a look at how that goes. But you can see that the overall, we have a closer grouping in here, right? More precision, and then slightly grouping upwards into short closings, all right? Because they get stopped out, and long openings, right? Because we start seeing that push to the upside. So once again, I tend to use this as a counter indicator. Like what? For example, let's just say that right now we're seeing a lot of more of lot long entries at this point, right? I kid you not, people are just buying the topping here. All right. So what I'm gonna be doing is just waiting just a little bit more and seeing if we have a rejection in here. If we do have a rejection like this, all right, then I'm gonna be looking for a short and then counteract that indicator. Right. So that's a little trick that I use. That doesn't mean that we're not going higher. Remember, I tend to see what's going on and what would market makers want to start liquidating up next, if that makes sense. All right. Other than if it's like a stable coin, like USDC, or something really depict out of the median, I will look into it. So AIOT. By the way, AIOT, I think it was requested yesterday. It was a crazy, crazy, crazy lows. So we'll keep this in mind when analyzing the markets. So max pain right now, you can see that this has a move right now. This is at 90K 132, 3018 and 133. So you can see a slight shift of max pain, but also look at that. Long max pain is at 85. We can see an increase on long distances. All right. So we'll see that right now as they're getting better entries, right? And should start getting way more pain. Let's go to the news. XRP price bulls cycle to key support as analyst warns of high time frame breakdowns. Yeah, actually, if we take a look at the XRP chart, we are on a big supporting here. Remember that we were looking for the short. That was a pretty good shorting here. And at this point, remember exactly what we were expecting right now. We are looking into the first breakout, all right? So, yes, we not only are into the big support, look at that. I mean, a support from the freaking previous range or the full range. So we can actually draw a horizontal line, I would say actually right here, like this, all right? And the importance here, it is, all right, what's going to happen with this zone? I mean, this is not new. I'm telling you, show me the charts and I tell you the news, right? So first of all, we need to make the breakout, right? On the breakout, we need to look for projection. On the rejection, we're going to be looking for the next support and see if we're able to hold it. But if we don't hold this, well, then guess what? We basically have, I mean, a long way to go. The next areas of support is going to be an itty bitty tiny stuffing here, another one right there, and something in between these two, like that. So this will be the bigger support because we're creating a little channel in here, all right, like that. So let's say that we can still go all the way down to zero. No, just kidding. Just going to 159, right? Something around those areas. We can also turn on here, throw in here our VRVP. Let's do that. Where is our VRVP? Here it is. And let's bring up, of course, this part in the game here, this one right here. So I want to see this part. All right. So far as you can see, well, maybe we're just slightly there. We go on to the shelf to almost the peak of that area. So yeah, I mean, if we lose this support, we are gonna be going into the zone 1.5, 1.6 zones. So let's be careful with XRP. I'm still going to be adding an alert here, and I'm going to be putting the alert on the higher range. So I might have still some time to maybe jump back in. All right, so let me turn that VRVP off, and I want to bring up my dynamic reactor really quickly. So let's wait for it to load. We are right on resistance, and you can see right here when I zoom in, when I bring chunky candles, that is not just because this area, but it's because where I think where the projection of that dynamic reactor it's going to be, or where I estimate it's going to be. So yeah, I mean, we still need to wait a little bit more in here, right? But we are seeing this developing, and we are already taking advantage of this movement. Let's take a look at this one here because this one is pretty interesting. Bank of Canada lays out strict standards for stablecoins ahead of 2026 regulations. That is pretty cool. I mean, if you read the whole article, it goes a little bit more in detail. But let's just actually just take a quick look in here on what are they planning to do. Bank of Canada says all stablecoins must be pegged to central banks. I don't like that, but all right. I mean, all right, they can do that. Uh, Currency, right? So I would say CAD, right? And backed up by a high quality liquid asset. Perfect. So that means, long story short, most likely cash, right? That's pretty good. I mean, that's what we want to see. We don't want to see another Luna dollar just, or what was it? USD, US. I don't even remember the name of the Luna dollar, but yeah, you got the point, right? We don't want to see another Luna crash like that, right? New rules will be developed in the 2026. So heads up here, my fellow Canadians. I know you guys are like in a debate whether if the government is doing good or not, but right here is where they can grab you by the hair. All right. And just saying, vote for your right representative that represent the actual well interest, right? And now is this is not because of stablecoins. This is just because everywhere monetary policy, right? So again, I'm not pushing you to select anyone in particular. Just saying, think it very good. Do your research when you are selecting your representative, right? So pretty good. I mean, I think then we will see maybe some consistent action from the U.S. of following here, something really pegged to this same actions that they're taking. And let's go. Way to go, Canada. Really happy with that. I mean, we'll see how this one goes, but so far, so good. And another news, and this one actually took me by surprise. I thought they were talking about one of my favorite coins that is not playing out at all good, but it's still one of my favorite coins, which is Horizon. But apparently it is not. But let's take a look at here. Aave CEO details 2026 roadmap centered on V4 Horizon. This is what I take me by surprise, and mobile app rollout. All right, so long story short, Aave CEO has outlined a protocol 2026 roadmap centered on their V4 upgrade Horizon and its new mobile app. All right, so let's take a look at what does Horizon tells you, because this is interesting. Horizon, I thought it was the coin named Horizon, but it's not. Apparently, it's not. Next on the list is Horizon, a decentralized lending market for tokenized real-world assets. This is pretty interesting to be honest. Let's see how that actually acts in the real world, right? How did that develop? Which Khrushchev said we'll onboard many of the top financial institutions to have it. Well, we'll see about that, right? Once again, I think this is a little bit more in the speculation zone, but looks all right. Looks pretty good. And expands the protocol's reach to 500 trillion plus asset base. All right. If you said so, we'll see. We'll see. I really don't think so, but we will see how that plays out for 2026. I would say that I don't know 500 trillion, but we could. I mean, maybe I'm missing something there, right? Horizon launched earlier this year on August 27, and managed to surpass 550 million in deposits by September the 1st, with the bulk of the liquidity arriving in RLUSD and USDC. So Horizon currently sits at 550 million. All right, that is a pretty change between that M and a T, right? Net deposit in 2026, we will look to quickly select this to 1 billion and beyond, expanding or works with lending institutional partners like Circle. We'll see Ripple, Franklin, Templaten, and Van Eck. Another bring major global assets class to Aave. Something important to note: I don't think that they're calling, and this is what I got the feeling for. They're not saying that they're going to have deposits, net deposits of 500 trillion plus. I think they're talking about asset peg, right? Asset base. So not 100% sure how Horizon works. Let me do some research about this, but this actually looks pretty cool. We'll see again about the very inflated prediction of 500 trillion. But I mean, why not, right? Why not? At the end of it all, I want to see crypto succeeds, but we'll see. Don't know about that trillion thing. Let's take a look at on X mark the spot. We have a couple of interesting points in here. And the Kobayashi later says, own assets are be left behind. The wealthiest U.S. households, this is important. Let's take a look at what are they doing with net worth above 1 billion hold 37% of their wealth in stock. 37% is a pretty good chunk of their wealth, followed by 35% in business interest. Nice. So you can see that as an asset, something that we can do easier, right? They hold it 37% on again on stocks, right? And then the rest on or another 35% into business interest. Those with 100 million to 1 billion hold 58% in business and 10% in equities. So that's a big change, and that is because one of the most productive things to do is work or have a business, much more having a business. Because think it this way, guys. I mean, having a business is like, hey, how many, I don't know, let me take you for example, JR, right? JR right now it's trading. So how many, let's just say how many trades would JR could do, right? Limited. How many JRs we have? Limited. We only have one. But what if we get JR to open up a business, right? And then he can manage multiple other traders, right, that follow his own strategy, right? He lays the plan, and then maybe he does, I don't know, copy trading by JR LLC or something like that, right? That way we can grab that single JR and export it, right, and make it reach million of wallets that way, right? So just using you as an example, my friend. Pretty good trading, by the way. Really impressed. That is fantastic. If you are not following JR, make sure you do. And well, that way, as a business model, you can reach way much more people, right? Than you can by your own or by just buying assets. So that's why you start seeing that the more money they have, the more money they push into businesses, all right? And 10% in equities. By comparison, households with net worth under 10,000 hold 36% of their assets in their primary residence, all right, followed by a 34% on vehicles. I don't know. Vehicle is not an investment, but whatever. The 10,000 to 100 K, I would say group holds 57, 56 on their wealth in their house and 10% in their vehicles. Much smarter, but I think we can see the budget difference right there, right? Overall, Americans with a net worth under 1 million have almost zero exposure to equities. Alert, alert, right? Danger, Will Robinson. Danger, Will Robinson. The wealth dividing is with widening, right? So let's just take a look at what's going on in here. We have below or greater than 10K, right? 10K to 100K, 100K to 1 million, 1 million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million, 100 million to 1 billion, and the 1 billion plus, right? So greater than 1 billion. Life insurance, business interest. We can see, for example, how they start stocking those. So this one is more equilibrated. These ones are pushing more into the business side to grow their wealth. And these ones that have above a billion, well, how much money they can they spend, and that's why they have it most of that on business interest and stocks or real estate, right? Because that gives them like a passive income, but they already have so much money that that's where they get the bulk of it, right? From that passive income. So we start needing to work this into this. Of course, this is not simple, but I would say it's something more equilibrated will be something like this, something reachable in the short term period, right? I would say that, well, I don't know how to say this. Not that it's easy to get 1 million to $10 million, but I think that this is most possible to see how to distribute your assets. I'm not telling you that you need a 1 million to 10 million, but I'm telling you that we could start seeing into start pushing into more productive asset holdings, right? So let's take a look at how they build up their wealth, right? So as you can start seeing, well, they start paying way less on primary residence, all right? Or it depends on the resident, of course, how much money they have. And of course, vehicles right here, right? So you can see that maybe the lower below 10K, their residence may not be as luxury or luxuriant, right? So may have not that much luxury. So that's why you see the bumping here. But then from 100K to 1 million, they keep kind of like the same housing status, right? That's when they start going down. And then it's not that the housing starts going down, but the other assets start going upwards, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. Right, I started looking into like real estate stocks, business interests, as we are seeing here. I would say business interest will be the easiest quote unquote thing to do, but we'll see how that goes, right? I mean, at the end of it all, everyone has its own plan. I think the lesson to be learned is the curve that we're seeing, like going up and down and then up, right? So once again, Infinite teammate, what's up, brother? Welcome. Satoshi, what is up, bro? Welcome. Great to have you here. So let's take a look at a couple of other things. Another important one, shocking state of the day. U.S. net interest cost on public debt. Oof, this one is a good one. 19 billion year over year in the first 2 months of the fiscal year 2026 to 179 billion. This makes interest the second largest government outlay only behind Social Security. All right, Social Security. I mean, I don't know. I have some strong feelings about that word. By comparison, Medicare, healthcare, and defense spending total 176 billion and 170 billion and 165 billion respectively over the last 2 months. During this period, interest expense as a percentage of tax revenue was 24.2, near a real-time high. This is near 2 times above the average since between 2013 and 2019. I don't know, guys. I mean, net interest, all right. But I would actually put I mean, it's very interesting that we see that growth. But what I actually would be putting my eyes, it's both on Social Security, Medicare, and that's basically it. And that is because I have a strong opinion about those, right? I mean, how much is it? Once again, how much is it being spent on Medicare? Really? And the U.S. does not have free Medicare? I don't know. Please allow me to push some constructive criticism, right? If you're spending that much, I think the mafia might not be like in this part of the border with, let's just say, not that great medicines, if you know what I mean, right? Uh, but it might be on the on the business that controls that now that very good medicine, if you know what I mean, right? So we can see where things are being handled. And for my opinion only, I believe that it could be done much more on Medicare budget based on what I see here. So federal spending by function. I would say that, you know what, they could outsource some of these things and grab them as a subsidiary of government and maybe do its own competition with private sector, and then people can decide whether if you go public or private Medicare or something like that. If you guys like catch my wave. Lost in Crypto, what's up, bro? Welcome, welcome. I'm not saying that Medicare here in Mexico is fantastic, but at least it's a good bunch. It's free, right? Let's take a look at it here. This is very interesting. New fast food giant Steak and Shake says if you work at Steak and Shake, we will pay you in Bitcoin. That is freaking interesting, but I don't know, man. It feels like you're gonna be earning in crypto if you work in a Steak and Shake. I don't think that you're gonna be, you know, saving a lot of money. And we know Bitcoin is still very volatile for a day on day. Um, Way to go. But I mean, at the end of it all, whatever Bitcoin you get, you're going to be almost immediately transforming it if you work at a stake and shake. And on that, well, then you're going to be paying stuff with your either cryptocurrency, stable coins, or along Bitcoin. I mean, right now we have so many things like, I mean, this is no shape, way, or form any publicity thing like Ugly Cash, like Dollar App, like many other those platforms, right? That take initial crypto, right? And as you pay with your currency, right? And they keep just a little bit of that fee. Nonetheless, I think this is very interesting and a good step towards, um, like the mainstream use of Bitcoin. Again, this is something important. It leads me to actually tell you something that's going on. There is a kind of like a war right now happening in Bitcoin, right? New nodes and new verifiers, new miners will have to decide whether if Bitcoin they want to be a store of value or um a uh a coin to be spent uh daily, right? I would say that it needs to be a store of value. Part of this update has to do with the cash, quote unquote, that Bitcoin has to hold some messages. If you know, you can graffiti wallet on Bitcoin, right? And it's been done previously. So what they want to do is increase that buffer, right? So you can do some memes and stuff and send more information, and that will be worth it if you're looking at Bitcoin, maybe looking like another currency. Like what the catch comes right here is that you're gonna be just transferring a lot of bloodware, right, across the net, and then you're gonna be I don't know, polluting the Bitcoin network, and I don't think that is beneficial for anyone, right? So long story short, yeah, I mean that also brings me to that. So we'll take a look at how that develops. At the end of it all, miners will decide how that goes. Hopefully, if they decide to keep it as a store of value and do not increase that cash. Let's take a look at here. Just in, and this is pretty interesting also, Bitcoin mining company, Hut 8 partners with Google to back a 7 billion data center lease. Let's go. All right. So it seems like Google's going to be investing on Hut 8. We'll see how that goes. Maybe Google right now looking into earning some Bitcoin. That is pretty good, seeing that kind of like companies looking at this player right now and then starting combining with it in an indirect way, or at least in a mining facility. That's pretty cool to see. We'll see if that has a good impact or not. At the end of it all, at this point, I don't think that is gonna have a meaningful impact on our day-on-day life. I think this is just the process of having Bitcoin being entangled with real and physical economy, right? Which is good. And look and behold, let's take a look at here. Wyckoff bearish case update. All right. The drop unfolded even faster than anticipated. All right. So this is the Wyckoff method. Long story short. All right. Let me copy that image. Let me open image and new tapping here. Maybe we can zoom better. All right. And we'll see right here that, and this is the important part, right? Trend continuation, right? After we have a flat top, I believe that we are either on fast pricing here or we are right here, right? It's important to note that we can still have sort of like a head and shoulders. All right. So we have seen the breakout of the channel, the main channel. If you take a look at it, you can put out a trend line in here. All right. So we have breakout. We are going for that retest. It's not secret that we're somewhere around here, but this is the area right here where we can start looking at some other formation like this one, which is a flat pause of bearish continuation. All right. So as you can see, this is what they're thinking, that where we are, right? They say that we are at the topping here, right? We already have this movement to the downside, movement or this movement to the downside, and we are creating this flat pause of bearish continuation. This flat pause of bearish continuation, this bear flag being right here, this little spike, the breakout retest continuation, right? The breakout sort of retest, and this is what I'm expecting to have a pretty good Christmas, right? When we can see at least a bounce, the 100K zone, and then a continuation downwards. This is very interesting because let's take a look at the possibilities right there. First of all, let's take a look at, of course, one of my favorite research zones for the Wyckoff, right? A scenario, and let's isolate things how they happen and how they're playing, right? Because I mean, we already have the big picture. Perfect. This is the big picture, and we have the map where, well, this guy think that where we're standing. All right. So let's do some comparison, and of course, let's do our own analysis. One of the most important parts is the accumulation schematic, which tends to be a reversal zone. In that area, we have the little range. That's how I describe it. Little range, V-shaped recovery, 70% chances of ranging, the spring, then the breakout retest, and off we go. All right. And of course, at the top, we have this other pattern, the topping pattern. Something important that is not described in here. All right. It is what we just see here. Let me show you once again, which is this part right here. This one right here. Oh, come on. Don't click the other way around. This one right here, all right? So this little part here, this is a flat pause bearish continuation, which if we zoom in this area right here, I believe that that's what we are seeing, all right? With an important difference. Let's go and take a look at our Bitcoin chart really quickly. Okay, let's go now and let's take a look at once again in this area on the daily. And remember, we've been talking about this, right? In fact, let me see if I can do it, or where I have the text that I manually drawn. Here it is. All right. What? Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Okay. What does that stand for? Flat pause of bearish continuation, right? Same thing like the micro insight um the big picture, right? A flat path of bearish continuation, basically being on one of those wrinkles right there. So let's go back to the Bitcoin charting here. We already have seen this. Let's go and take a look at this area right here, where we have our channel. All right. And if we zoom out and we compare it to this thing, let's see if we can paste it. Oh, that is a not the right picture. Let's go here. Let's copy this image and let's go back in here and let's paste it. And could you paste the image? Is way too large. All right, well, whatever. The point is that we have this area, the flat top, right? And this is where the zooming starts. Look at this zone right here. All right. This is a flat pause, or a bullish flag, or a flat pause of bullish continuation. All right. And then right after that, we have lost the channel. All right. Let me see if we can snapshot this. I think that will be much easier for me to work with. All right, perfect. And if you take a look at here, we can actually paint or draw a trend line like this. Let me change that color because that is almost invisible. Let's do it bright red. You see that? So you can draw a trend line right there in here. Perfect. Where is the breakout of that trend line? Here's the breakout of the trend line. Breakout, retest, continuation. All right. So that is important. So right here we have our trend line, breakout, retest with a flat positive bearish continuation, right? And then continuation downwards. But where does the where does this theory kinds of breaks apart? It breaks apart when we start seeing the previous high. Yes, I know that right here we are just looking into one of those wrinkles to have confirmation. All right. And this one needs to be, it was even higher than the previous one. Okay. That is not a given fact, right? Right here it is higher, still higher. All right. But what if, because this is again completely possible, let's go to a cleaner chart. What if we have the next Wyckoff scenario here? Not any Wyckoff, a bullish reversal Wyckoff. Let's copy the image. What if we are seeing this right here, right? And then we still need to go for the spring. So we still need to do something like this, spring it, and then going to hit dynamic reactor. Then we'll know. Okay, so that's why I keep saying we are on a transition zone. We still don't know what's going on. The facts at this point, they aim that we are in a very possible bearish scenario like this, but there is still some light at the end of the tunnel. What is the light at the end of the tunnel? This spring right here. That is the light at the end of the tunnel. All right. So if we're able for some reason to, because I bet that we're going to bounce from here, right? If we're able to do this, or if we're able to do this, okay, and then start breaking out, I believe right there we're going to be breaking the previous range, and we could be hitting 100, 115, 120K once again, but this is still too far so far. So we can just keep doing the same thing that we've been doing. Let's go to the 4 hours in here. Let's clear this up, all right? And right here, we have both a trend line that is being broken, and right now it's being rejected from, and until we have a confirmation breakout on this trend line, right, we cannot take the next step. And at this point, we're going to be looking for a rejection and a lower entry. Thus, I have my next entry somewhere around 84K 659. All right. So that's the duality right now. I mean, for one part, this really makes sense, right? To see this. And that's what we've been pledging, or that's what I've been pledging for so long. Hey, you know what? If we have the retest and then continuation lower, that's when I confirm, or in my case, that's what I will be confirming for myself, that we are on the bearish scenario. Let's do it one more time. Let's do it together. All right. So let's see that we have this big trend line. In fact, we can even go a little bit lower here like this, and then adjust that slightly below like that, trying to go over this low, and this low. In fact, we can even push it even a little bit lower like this. Look at that. Precise, 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 or as precise as we can. We have the first breakout, all right? We have the first breakout retest, and we haven't had a fast breakout continuation. This is what we need. We need to see what's going to happen here. Okay, we need to see what's going to happen here, or breaking through. That will be my confirmation. This one will be my confirmation. Let me just make sure that I push this upwards, or this one is going to be my confirmation for that next step, right? So we still don't have just quite enough information. Things are revealing. Seems like we're going to be going lower, especially the daily. Pretty bearish, right? and almost about to break the consolidation score. Seems like we're going to be breaking to the downside. So right now, I'm tilting slightly bit more to the bearish scenario for this next leg. But once again, we are in December. Right now is December the 17th. So I think we might still have one more little pump before we have the actual resolution out there. All right, so let's go take a look at a couple of icons right now, and then we're gonna be moving out of the channel here. So let's get started with Ethereum. Ethereum on its was the same way. Let's go to the 4 hour. We already have hit some supporting here, of course, and well, we're looking for a further continuation. It will be wise to keep it open if you have um this trade open, at least take some profits out right here, and the next step will be somewhere around here. Let's bring up our indicators. So what I want to see is order blocks or even predictive ranges. So predictive ranges go all the way down there, and I have, there we go, maybe a misload on this one. There we go, much better. I have liquidity zones right down here, and I also have some supports, right, and predictive ranges where they're just a little bit lower down here. Nonetheless, the next TP, and let's prolong this, it's gonna be all the way down there to 2,771. So pretty good for Ethereum, right? Not looking that bad for that short that we aimed for. Let's take a look at a couple of other things. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin, we have already the breakout. I believe that we would have been going a little bit lower. We have the retest already. Seems like we are rejecting where we're from. So most likely we're gonna have some more downside as we were expecting on plan A. BNB, just to keep track on what it's doing, we have a very nice trend line in here, and we are right now kind of like trying to make a higher low, but I don't think that's gonna be possible right now. We'll see how that develops. In the meantime, I'm going to be trying to push or see if I can do a ranging here just to estimate some lows and highs. And of course, I want to bring up my indicators. Let's take a look at how far could we be going. And if we don't stop at 847, let's add right there in my alert. I think that next stop will be, there you go, South Pole 815. So let's see, maybe do we have anything hidden in there that I'm missing? I don't think so, though. Yeah, nothing. Well, quantum reactor, but quantum reactor is gray. So not really stopping much in there. Let's take a look at what else. VRVP, the same area that we're looking right now for a possible double bottom. But other than that, look at that all the way down there for BNB. Let's take a look at ADA and Solana to wrap things up. So on ADA, guys, give me 1 second. Right, thank you for that. All right, so let's take a look at ADA here. I know it's a little bit of a mess. We're still looking for an entry right here in our area of support. Seems like we might be able to have it in here after this short that was not able to be taken. So it left us, nothing to do there. And of course, we keep track on this trend line. So, well, what a bummer to see this candle, like piercing through and then retracing. That's why we need to wait for that absolute confirmation, right? And let's finish it up with Solana. Solana, we have a daily prediction and daily analysis. Seems like we are on the way to do that, right? So I would actually be looking for a Solana short as we're having this retracement in here. If we're not able to pierce through this area, I would say that shorting Solana somewhere lower in here on this trend line, somewhere around the 105 would be pretty good. So keep your eyes on Solana. I think it might be give you a couple of good surprises if you wait for that confirmation. If you wait for your oscillator to enter, I think it will make you a good profit, right? Let's just wrap it up to see what's happening right here in poly markets. This is kind of like some news dashboard, to be honest. Fed decisions in January. Let's see, 25 basis points, 22%. Who will Trump nominate? We already have that decision, of course. Kevin has it. Well, we don't have the decision, but it's almost towards or turning to one area right here. Andrew Tate versus Chase DeMoore. I'm not sure what's up here. Boxing, Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. I want to see Jake Paul actually fight a Mexican boxer. Will Trump release will Epstein files by? Well, they say December 19. 2 days to go. In Maduro out by, well, January 31st. We'll see how that goes. Well, this is kind of like a thermometer and something interesting here. I see what price will Bitcoin hit in 2025. Ooh, look at that. Almost 15% says above 100 or above 105. Well, it's a pretty narrow gap, right? So, well, that is it for me, guys. Thank you so much for joining today. Really appreciate you guys to staying all the way to the end. Really quick, click that like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Other than that, guys, thank you so much, and see you guys tomorrow.
That's the rap. Chart stack data never lie. Piper led the mission, OC in the sky. Spaghetti on the screen, but the vision stay prime. Chart prime visual, signals on time. Alumni strong, we built from the grind. Lessons in the market that'll outlive time. Knowledge is profit, you know how we run. Till the next one, stay sharp, get it done.
You can't handle the truth. Emotional damage.
We'll see you at the next
Don't
one.
know what the fuck they're doing.
Morning market report out, 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 out.
Boom shakalaka.
We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report out. We'll see you at the next one. Morning market report. Ow.
That was awesome, dude.
Hey, it didn't break. What else you got?